Rinha was an actress. She thought that people talked about her as if she were a highly talented and skilled actress. She had many trophies, which made those words true, and she received one more trophy at that time. The scene shifted to a forest covered with snow, where she lay injured. She felt pain and was freezing, wondering how she could be freezing. Then she opened her eyes and wondered if she was on a mountain or in a forest. She remembered 2 hours earlier when she and her team had reached the ocean's corner for the film. A girl told Rinha that it wasn't too late to ask for a stunt win. Rinha replied that she must work hard to win the next trophy as well. The girl mentioned that many accidents had happened in that acting spot, and many people had gone missing. Rinha told her to stop talking nonsense. Then a man said they were going to start. Rinha thought about whether all the safety devices were in place and that the team had tested them several times. She was a bit scared, but she felt safe. But then an accident occurred because the chain broke and she fell into the ocean. She stopped reminiscing and found herself in a snowy forest, wondering how she could have ended up there if she had fallen into the sea. It was summer, but the surroundings didn't resemble summer at all. She wondered if she was in reality, but that didn't make any sense. She thought maybe she was dreaming, but she felt too cold for it to be a dream. A monster approached her, ready to attack, and she was terrified. Before the monster could strike, a man appeared and defeated it with his sword. As she wondered who he was, she saw him walking towards her. She couldn't move. The man spoke something in his language, which Rinha couldn't understand as she had never heard such a language before. She was puzzled by the sudden change in weather from summer to snow, the unfamiliar place, and the appearance of the monster. She wondered if she had traveled through dimensions. She couldn't believe what was happening, thinking that such things only occurred in cartoons and fiction. In fiction, characters can speak the same language automatically. The man rumbled many things and then asked for her hand. She decided to cooperate, and as she gave him her hand, he locked a bracelet onto it. Surprised, she asked what it was. The man explained that the bracelet was working, and she was shocked to realize that she could now understand what he was saying. He then mentioned that it wouldn't translate certain complex concepts. She responded that that wasn't the point. He urged her to compose herself, and she echoed his sentiment. The man assured her that he knew the device worked, so she didn't need to repeat what he said. Rinha realized that since she was in a different world, it made sense for them to have a translation device. She then asked where she was and who he was. He asked if telling her where she was would help her understand. She replied in the negative. He then asked if she knew who she was. She agreed to that. Rinha explained that she had been in an accident, and she believed that's how she ended up in that world. He calmly stated that he knew. She noticed that he didn't seem surprised. She wondered how he knew she would need a translation device. She then asked if such occurrences were common. He replied that he guessed so and mentioned seeing dead bodies and bones, but it was the first time he had seen someone survive. Shocked, she wondered how he could say something like that and just move on. The man simply cleaned his sword with a cloth. Rinha wondered what all of this meant but decided to stay with him until she knew she was safe. She then remarked that he must be a knight or someone who fought monsters. He didn't reply to her remark. She couldn't believe that someone could look frightening while smiling. Wasn't he the perfect example of the cold-hearted Northern Duke? The Northern Duke was described as a cold-hearted man with looks that could kill, powerful enough to defeat any monsters, and cynical towards everyone regardless of their age, gender, or race. He was a character from a romantic fantasy with all those traits embedded in him. Then, the man introduced himself as Calcion, the head of the Lambert family and the Duke of the Northern Kingdom of Iklein. Rinha realized that Calcion was the Northern Duke. She introduced herself as her stage name, Selena, and said it was nice to meet him. She chose her stage name instead of her real name because it sounded more unusual. She extended her hand to him, prompting him to ask why she was offering her hand. Selena explained that it was a way of greeting, thinking she should clarify since he might not be accustomed to it. Calcion then took her hand and, by kissing it, welcomed her to his world. She blushed, surprised by his gentleness, as she had expected him to only be good at hunting and killing. Calcion commented that she seemed like a commoner but was acting like a lady. Selena explained that where she came from, there were no distinctions between commoners and aristocrats. Everyone was treated equally. It seemed like Calcion wanted her to adopt an aristocratic manner. He agreed, stating that it would be advantageous. She wondered how it would be useful and found it odd that he expected someone he had just rescued to be useful. It didn't sit right with her. She asked if she wasn't useful if she wasn't an aristocrat. Calcion replied that it depended on her, but as she was at that time, she was useless. She asked what would happen if she was useless. He suggested she make herself useful if she wanted to live there, and, saying that, he moved closer to her. She again wondered if he was the Northern Duke. She then told him that she had been useful and was a person who had been the light and salt of the world. She just grabbed his hand and continued that she was sure she could be such a person in that world as well. She promised him that she would dedicate her life to him. Calcion told her that if she wanted to live in his land, she would have to make a sacrifice and make herself useful. She didn't listen to that and just promised. He told her not to make promises of such things that she wouldn't be able to fulfill and asked what she could do to make the Landbird family stronger. She was surprised because that was a reasonable question. She then said that she might be able to contribute to the development of cultural and artistic creativity for that land. Even if he believed her or not, she was a famous actress and everyone knew who she was. She was good at acting and could portray anything and anyone he wanted her to be. He asked if that was the case, so she should just do that. She asked him to define what he meant. Calcion sat there and asked her to show her acting to him. She asked if he wanted to see something current. He agreed and asked if she couldn't perform. She asked what kind of action he would like to see. She wondered what was going on there. He thought for a moment and told her to show the acting of a female fatale. She was shocked and waited for any other instructions, but there were none. She took a deep breath and decided to do it because it was better than dying alone in the forest. She came close to him, grabbed his head, and asked why he was telling her to do such a thing. She reminded him that just because he had saved her didn't mean he could treat her like that, and that she wouldn't obey him just because he was the duke of that land. She was trembling and shaken, hoping that he wouldn't kill her. She smiled and said that she understood. She felt relieved that it worked, and then asked why he was laughing at her and if she was a joke to him. She thought she might have crossed the line, but he just appreciated her. She felt happy and thought she would be fine for the time being. He told her that since she did so well, she was suited to the role he would suggest. She stopped to hear more, wondering what he would say next. Calcion simply told her that he wanted her to act like his lover, become a socialite, and receive death threats. She flinched upon hearing that and wondered if he was telling her to die, but if he did that, he wouldn't take her with him, which meant he would abandon her in the forest. She wondered why something didn't add up and why it had to be her becoming a socialite to attract death threats. It must be for political reasons. He was giving such a mission to someone he had just met, indicating that there was no one he could trust and that he also had no choice, and she could figure that out. She approached him and asked what she would get in return. He thought for a moment and said her life. She told him that she didn't mean to be rude but questioned if that was all. Calcion replied that without his help, her life would be gone pretty soon. Selena told him that she was risking her life for that job and needed motivation as well. She pointed out that it seemed like there wasn't anyone who could act as well as she could. She knew he needed her help and asked if he wanted her to act as his fake lover and become a socialite. Didn't he need her to be loyal? She needed better motivation than that so she wouldn't betray him. Calcion then told her that since she was going to act like his lover, he would allow her to live in the Landbird castle and ensure her safety. After the job was done, he would let her enjoy a luxurious life there. And finally, he hoped she might be able to return to her world. She asked if she could go back. He replied that he couldn't guarantee it, but there was a way, though it was where dangerous beasts lived, and no one had succeeded except the Archmage. If she managed to succeed, he promised to take her there, even if it was risky. He warned her again that there were no guarantees and they were only human, not archmages, which is why he was telling her. But even if it was just hope, he was sure it would be great motivation for her. She thought about all the fiction she had read where characters ended up settling down in a new world, but she held on to hope that she might be able to return. She didn't have anything in the new world, no family, friends, or familiar things. If she could get back, she would continue doing whatever it took. She then told Calcion that she would do her best. He appreciated her determination and suggested they go back to the castle to finish their conversation. As they arrived at the castle gate, 2 knights were there, and one expressed relief that Calci wasn't injured. Calci, holding Selena in his arms, explained that he had rescued her from the beasts, which was why they were a bit late. One knight wondered if Calci had found Selena in the forest, while the other asked how they had ended up there and said he would inform the servants. Calci acted as though he was taking care of Selena, which surprised the 2 knights. Selena thought about what was wrong with Calci. He wasn't handling things properly, and his knights were suspicious of her. She wondered if he didn't want this plan to work. They reminisced about their time in the forest, and there she had told Calci that before they returned, they needed to make sure they had a plan. She didn't understand why she had to act as his lover, but there was something he needed to do if he wanted it to work. He asked what he had to do. Selena explained that they needed to have a good storyline for others to believe that she was his lover. He agreed, but he felt it was getting too complicated, suggesting the easiest thing to say was that he had saved her, and it was love at first sight. As they stopped reminiscing, Selena told him that she didn't want anyone near her other than him. Just a few more nights arrived there, and Selena wondered why she had intervened, but she didn't have any other choice because he couldn't even breathe properly, and what a horrible act it was from him. The scene shifted a few years back when she had finished her acting and was kneeling in front of Calci, asking him not to kill her. He asked what she meant, and if couldn't she see love in his eyes. She replied that she felt like she had become prey and suggested smiling. Calci asked if she wanted him to smile. He just grinned there. She raised her hand, knowing he couldn't wait to kill her. He replied that if she wanted, he could. She apologized and said that Calci had told her earlier that he wanted a female fatale, and how many times did she have to tell him that they needed a storyline for that thing? And how did he expect to fool others when he looked like he couldn't wait to kill her? And that wasn't easy, and she guessed they didn't have any other options left. She decided she was going to seduce him. He was surprised to hear that. She said she wasn't going to do that, but that it was a better plan. She purposely came until that point so she could seduce him, and once she met him, she wouldn't leave him. How would that story be? He replied that the fact that he allowed her to do that would already seem suspicious to those people. Selena said she thought that would make better sense than telling them that it was love at first sight, especially since he couldn't even smile properly. Calci thought that even though he hated to admit it, she was right. She told him that if he allowed it, they could do that step by step, and even if he couldn't express his feelings, he would show them all. Calci asked what he had to do for that. She explained that he just had to agree with everything she would say, especially in front of other people, and not think about what she would say. He asked what she would say. She replied that he didn't know anything about love and had a long way to go. He could do anything and everything for the one he loved without feeling like it was a waste of time and energy, and that was the essence of love. Then she asked if he had ever fallen in love, and she thought to herself that Calci hadn't because people knew he was like that. He just threw things out there to make them believe him. Although she told him he would do all the acting, she still needed him to respond and show the others that she was somewhat into her, so it would be more convincing. He asked what he would have to say. She suggested saying that she was his. He asked if she wanted him to be her slave. She agreed and said that it would sound like that if it came out of his mouth. She then suggested saying that she didn't want to leave her in the hands of others. Calci asked why not just cut off their wrists. She agreed and asked him to let her think she wanted something so easy for him to say, something that was easy. After an hour, she was frustrated and wondered why he couldn't do that. Calci asked how he was supposed to know he wasn't after anyone like her. She wondered if it was her fault, then suggested they try again and take it slowly. He said they had tried several times, but she wasn't satisfied and told him to stop mumbling. She stopped reminding him of all those things and was in his hand in front of those nights. She brought her face near his and told him to just say his line. His people were becoming anxious, and they even had one-on-one tutorials. One night wondered how she dared to talk to him like that, so he told her as well. Calci finally managed to say something. Selena thought that he could do it. Then Calci said that he would do that. Those knights were shocked, and one of them was sure. Calci said that they were going back, and then by taking her, he stepped ahead. Selena wondered what was happening and if he had been attacked by the demons. She told him that everyone seemed quite shocked, and she appreciated him. Calcion was shy and said that it was enough. She thought to laugh and just stopped. He asked the reason for that. She replied that it was nothing and she was so proud of him, so now let's go. As he was taking her, some servants bowed and welcomed him and said that they would prepare the bath and meal for him, and was there anything else Calcion wanted? Calcion told them to just do the same things for one more person. They all agreed. After some time, he placed her, and she commented that she was so exhausted and that the whole thing was much worse than she expected. She then commented that the castle was so big. He replied that it was only the beginning. She sat there and stated that she knew, so they had better be prepared and continue their talk from where they left off. He agreed, and then they sat there. She asked why he asked her to act as his lover. He replied that his soon-to-be fiancé had died, and she was rumored to be one in the socialite world. Selena felt sorry for that, and wondered how Calcion was so calm. He told her that there was no need for sorry, it was only maddening, and how dare they attack a person he had selected. Selena thought that he was making it sound like she was one of the successful candidates. She felt awkward but asked what he meant by he selected. She thought that it wasn't either love or arranged, but he had selected that lady. She asked if he was sure that he was a northern duke. Calcion, having tea, replied that it didn't sound like a compliment but an offense. She told him that it was a compliment, and she meant that he was so handsome. She turned her face away because she felt awkward. Calcion stared at her. Selena told him that it wasn't important, and then she asked what happened after his soon-to-be fiancé died. Calcion answered that the north was far from the center, so it was out of everyone's attention until the gold mines were discovered. Since then, there had been lots of marriage offers, so he selected the quietest and docile one. Selena mentioned that the second lady died as well. Calcion agreed and said that the second lady died before the day of their engagement, in his castle as well. That was a challenge to the landlord, and a way of telling them that they could kill anyone in his castle and not to get married unless she was from their power. And since they dared to challenge Calcion, he took that as they were also ready to give up their own lives. She thought it was easy. Calcion continued that the death of the second lady was purported suicide, but that didn't make sense and the scars were too sharp. Selena said that it was the only evidence they had. Calcion mentioned that only a few people could cut themselves like that, and she had never held a knife other than a table knife. Selena asked if he had talked to the Baron. He replied that the investigation was already closed and the Baron didn't want it to go any further. Selena said that's why he needed someone from the socialite world and someone who could act and fit in that way. He agreed with her. Just then, a servant knocked on the door and said that the bath was already prepared, so could he come in? Selena wondered about that, and he denied them entry. Selena thought that he would have a servant to help him bathe, and she forgot about that. She worried they would be suspicious of her modern outfits, so should she wear that cloak again? Calcion asked her to take it off and get into the bathtub. She asked what would happen if those people started cleaning her clothes. He then told her to get inside the bathtub wearing her clothes. Selena refused and said they would still be able to see them. She then got an idea and said not to be surprised. She agreed to show that. She warned him and said she was going to show him real acting. The maid outside wondered why there wasn't any response. She knocked on the door again, calling for Calcion. He turned towards Selena. Selena told him not to worry, she had it under control. She thought of it as a participatory performance, and the audience she picked was not that quick-witted. She told him to get ready and it would be loud. She thought it wasn't a problem and she could handle it herself after all. She was a world-famous actress. She shouted, denying and telling him to order everyone to leave. He replied that the servants were waiting for him. She told him she wanted them to leave too and didn't want anyone near him. All the maids wondered what was going on, and then they whispered among themselves. Selena thought she knew it was annoying, but she had to be patient, and then she told them to hurry and ordered all those present to leave. He replied that he didn't need anyone and he might dismiss them. Then the maids agreed with them and left. Selena said it was good they all left, and she could finally take a nice, relaxing bath. Then she asked where the bathroom was. He indicated a direction and she thanked him. As she went, she thought about what to do with her clothes should she burn them. There were lots of things to think about. But anyway, Calci said that it was the bathroom. She entered and found it to be a good bathroom. Then she saw clothes there. She got an idea, and after the bath, she came outside wearing them. Then she gave her clothes to him to tear them, but he just turned around. She commented that it was so sweet and asked if he turned because she was wearing a bathrobe, and he did a great thing. He replied that it was nothing. And then he stopped. She asked if it was getting too hard. He just took her close to look outside and told her to keep quiet as they had a visitor. She asked if he meant like an assassin or a spy. He agreed with her. She told him that he didn't look surprised and asked what he was going to do. He replied that he was debating whether to kill or forgive. She was shocked to hear that and wondered if he was out of his mind, as no matter what happened, he shouldn't go around killing people. She told him to wait for a while and suggested they could take advantage of the situation. He wondered how. She asked why they didn't create a scene with just a sound, as that might work even better. He replied that even if it was just a sound, didn't they need some level of acting skills? She thought that he had accepted that he was a bad actor. He asked if she wanted to do something. She wondered how it escalated to that. She then pushed him away to free herself and told him she didn't think he would be like that. But she was wrong and disappointed in him. He asked how he could be like that and what he did. She told him she would take care of the acting, so he should just stand and watch, and actually he could continue destroying those clothes. He said it would be great if she could call out or laugh. She told him not to mind and not do anything. She then made him lie on the floor, got on top of him, and said that he had already seen her acting, so just trust her. And then they both got to the bathtub like that. He commented that she was amazing and that she could do it by herself. She shouted so loudly asking why he had torn her clothes and what she was going to wear after that, and just stopped tickling her. She told him not to forget that she was an actress and that the other spy had gone from there. Calic agreed and said that Calci was sure that the spy had heard that as well, and that Selena's acting was so passionate. She said that it was thanks that they both looked so hot, and then suggested washing them before they cooled down. The maids got inside and they needed to show them. And then she asked if he didn't want to see the reactions of those maids. A maid came and was shocked to see Calci with a lady, and they were sharing the same bathtub as well. She was frozen to see that. Selena asked if there was any problem. The maid denied it and told Selena to allow her to help Selena dress up. Selena asked if the maid meant that she was going to get glammed up. She got up and told Calci that she would come in a while. As she got out of there, the maid took her to a room and helped Selena get ready. Selena, while wearing, wondered if looking at the gold threads and the jewelry was like a cultural heritage, and could she wear them? And was that Calci's order? One maid commented that she looked great. The second maid commented that when Mrs. Janet gave them the order to give that dress to Selena, they were confused, but they could see why, and that dress suited Selena a lot. They mentioned that it used to be the former Duchess' favorite dress. Selena wondered if those maids were talking about Calci's mother and if that meant a lot to him, so were they sure that Selena could wear that since she was only a guest there? A maid commented that it would be better if the Royal Highness saw her as well. Selena told them to just take her there. Finally, she opened the door and said that he would be there. She found Calci there and asked what he thought of the dress she was wearing and how it looked on her. He didn't say anything, so she wondered what happened to him and if it was because she was wearing his mother's dress. The maid apologized and said that she had been ordered to make Selena wear that dress. Calci asked who had ordered them. Selena then got close to him and asked how he dared to ignore her when she was talking to him. She thought that she understood that it wasn't so pleasant for him that she was wearing his mother's dress without his permission, but she hadn't chosen to wear it. She then sat on him and said that it suited her well, and that's all that mattered. She thought not to act like that and that he could grill them afterwards. She told him that if he didn't like it, there wasn't much point, and she was going to ask him one more time if she looked pretty in that dress. He told her that she looked pretty. She wondered why he was cooperating. Just then, a maid with green hair came and apologized to Calci, saying that she had ordered the other maids to make Selena wear that dress because she thought it would be the only dress that wouldn't look familiar to him. He said that so it was her who ordered it, and that he would still recognize her dress. Selena wondered why that lady was making such a big deal about it. The maid said that if he preferred her to look more familiar, She apologized for that. Calci asked if they didn't have anything else for Selena to wear. The maid in green said that the other dresses belonged to the maids, and they couldn't make the lady wear a maid's dress, especially one personally accompanied. Selena thought that she kept talking back to him, and who was she to talk about her like that? He wouldn't take that lightly. Calci said that the maid was correct, and that he always appreciated her hard work and dedication in caring for the castle. Selena thought about how the maid had touched Calci's mother's belongings and argued back, yet he was okay with that. The maid said that she was just being faithful. Selena wondered how Calci could be so generous with her and then told them it was getting late, so just get them something light to eat, and they may be dismissed. The green-haired maid agreed, and as she left, she scoffed at Selena. Selena looked at her and wondered if the maid had scoffed at her. Then the food arrived and everything looked so good. A man was standing there, so Calci introduced him to Selena as the man who was doing. The commander of the Knight's Guard. He was Calci's closest ally and was aware of their plan. Selena said it was good that she didn't have to act anymore, and then she told Dion that it was nice to meet him. Dion asked if they were sure about doing that. Selena said not to worry and that she was only acting to be his lover and would keep that distance. Dion asked if she was sure that she wasn't acting at that time. She asked why she would, especially since he already knew about their plan. Dion said that even if she wasn't into him, there was no guarantee that she wouldn't fall in love later, as Calci had all the qualities a woman would fall for. Selena told him not to worry and that she wanted to have a good, long life, and she wouldn't do anything stupid to end that so fast. He asked if, as long as she was safe, there was a possibility. Selena told him that it was already enough and he didn't have to worry, adding that she might chase after money, but she would never pursue Calci, as he was far from her type. She cared for looks and money, but she wanted someone gentle and kind, and she couldn't stand a guy who wasn't like that. She assured him that she would never fall for Calci. She then asked if he was happy, and Calci's closest ally, who knew about their plan, was even skeptical of her, so it was safe to assume that she was just doing her job. She suggested they make it work and gave a heads up that she might be a loose cannon. Dion asked if they shouldn't have a more structured plan. Selena sighed and said that the problem was whether Calci could play along. Calci thought that they couldn't win against her. He then suggested they finish that and told Dion he could leave. Dion agreed and left. Calci then told her to let him give her some warnings. She agreed. He warned her first that spying could occur anytime and anywhere, like in the bathroom earlier, so she should be careful even when they talk to themselves. She told him not to worry and that she had always been the center of attention, so she was used to that. Calci then said secondly that there wasn't any need to act when they were alone. She replied that she couldn't do that, and if he wanted that to work, he should just be practicing at all times. If he didn't want to, then he should get some lessons on his own, but it was too late. He thought about whether he should quit. Selena continued, mentioning that even in his castle he had to deal with Mrs. Janet, and someone was already spying on them, so how was he going to deal with the specialities, and was he sure he could quit? He replied that she was correct. Selena then suggested not wasting any more time and coming up with a strategy and who were the people she should be cautious of. Calci thought and mentioned that there was one person, and he was sick of that other lady. Selena thought that a lady nasty enough for Calci to say he was sick of her must be quite something, wondering what kind of woman that other person could be, perhaps a vicious nobleman's daughter or a sly noblewoman. The next day, a girl called him. Calci told Selena that the girl was that person. The girl was happy that Calci and she were there. Selena thought that the girl was the first suspect who was shown to her. The first suspect was neither vicious nor sly, but a bulldozer. The girl said she had come to Lambers to see him because she had been so worried about him. Selena thought that she seemed rather excited. Calci said that he had been sick of Fionel. Selena said that she would have been too, although that hadn't been what she was expecting. She thought that it had only been a month since Calci's ex-fiancé had been murdered, and with that time frame, that must have meant that she had followed Calci to Lambert almost immediately and after Ariel's funeral with only one goal in mind, to become Calci's new fiancé. But Selena wondered why Fionel had done that and why it had been so dangerous, considering it had only been a month since Ariel was murdered, meaning anyone who became his fiancé could die. And yet, Fiona was hitting on Calci like that, which meant she was either too dumb to realize she could be next or Fiona was the murderer. Given that there was a possibility that she might have been the one who killed Ariel, she should have been careful. Calci told Fiona that he didn't recall inviting her. Fiona told Tant it was because he was too heartbroken to invite anyone, and that was precisely why she had come, to make him feel comfortable, and she was sure that he would understand. Just then, Selena grabbed Calci's hand, and they both got away from there. Fiona told them to wait for her, but they were walking so fast that she couldn't keep up with them. They both ignored Fiona and kept moving forward. Fiona thought she wasn't even walking anymore, she was running and couldn't keep up with them. Running, Fiona told them to slow down, and then she asked about Selena. He replied that he had found Selena in the woods. Selena thought that was a great answer and very helpful. Fiona asked if they knew how long it took Fiona to get there, and Stan said it was more than 7 days. Calci mentioned that Selena had come from even farther than Fiona. Selena thought if there was anything else he could say other than just the facts. Just then, Fiona grabbed his coat and said that it didn't mean she wasn't exhausted. Selena thought that Fiona was so fast, and if Calci stood at the finish line, she would be the next Olympic gold medalist. Fiona told Calci that she was so tired and her whole body ached from riding on the carriage for so long. So could he hold her? Calci denied that. Fiona grabbed his hand and said that it wasn't hard and he would do it easily. Just then, she looked at Selena with a different face. Selena thought about how Fiona was acting all cute and innocent in front of Calvin, but now she wanted to threaten Selena behind his back. She thought to herself that she would show him. She grabbed Calci's other hand and thought of fighting fire with fire with fire. Then Calci said that Selena was hungry, tired, and felt hurt from standing for too long. Fiona was shocked to hear that. Selena thought about how she would handle that situation and realized that Fiona didn't stand a chance against her. He might not have known, but Selena was the one from Korea where she was invented. Lionel was angry at Selena and wondered if that was a challenge. Fiona told Tant that she was so tired as well and felt like she was going to faint. As she tried to grab his hand, he pulled his hand away and instructed the maids to take Fiona to her room. The maid agreed, and Fiona was shocked to hear that. Calci left with Selena from there. The maid asked Fiona to come her way. Selena turned her face to tease Fiona, making him even angrier. After that, Calci and Selena sat in a room, and Selena commented that Fiona was so unbelievable, worse than the entertainment industry. She asked Calci not to tell her that everyone's like Fiona. Calci denied it and said that Fiona was extra. Selena mentioned that she supposed it was unusual for a girl to have that kind of personality and asked if she was the one with the most power in the socialite world. Calci denied it and said that Selena would encounter others worse than Fiona. Selena said that she would like to renegotiate her compensation, as it was far worse than what she had been told. She then mentioned that she would like to have 100 times the amount he promised. Calci suggested calling that off. She apologized, thinking that although they made it sound like they were joining forces and he was willing to compensate her even more, she was only joking. He told her that it wasn't funny. She thought that it must mean things would only get worse: conflicts, political matters, numerous rules and factions that she wasn't used to. She realized she must ensure her safety indefinitely, where everyone except herself was an enemy, until they found the murderer, even if that meant she might get killed. This reminded her of when she was a rookie and couldn't believe she had to go through that again. Calci asked if she was finished already. She replied that thinking about the future made her lose her appetite. He commented that it was too bad and then began to eat. She looked at him and jokingly asked if she could have a bite. He replied that she could get her own. She said his food looked better, and she needed to eat well to work hard but didn't want anything else. He then passed his food to her. She said she couldn't eat that much and asked if he could slice it for her since they had already taken her steak knife away, and she knew he would do it for her. He complied and handed it back to her. She looked at it, and he became confused. She explained that she couldn't eat it with her hands, so she asked him to feed her. He asked if they had to do that. She agreed, and he fed her, thinking it was only because people were watching. After she took a bite, she commented that it was tasty, and her appetite returned, so she asked for some dessert. Calci thought it was weird and couldn't seem to use his fork anymore because he had shared it with her. He then left from there. She asked why he was walking like a robot. She thought, how could he leave her like that? He didn't know about life, and did he have to use a bathroom or something? And it seemed like he didn't know much about that murder case. And shouldn't he be more cooperative so they could find that out? And where did she even begin with that guy? Then she got an idea, and there was nothing better than that. She then asked a maid if she happened to know where the Duke was at that time. The maid replied that he was probably in his office. Selena thanked her for the information. She thought to give him a surprise. So as he was in the office, he knocked on the window of the office, and as it opened, he found she was with a bouquet. He asked what she was doing. She said that she knew he liked that, and a woman knocked on the window to look for her lover, and she even got flowers for him. He asked her to come inside. As he reached to support her, she simply came inside by herself. He told her that he thought she wanted that to look romantic. She agreed and said that it was just that she was quite athletic, but she bet that made his heart skip a beat and saw a different side of his lover. He asked if they hadn't promised not to fall for each other. She felt awkward and said that it was right, and she was just too into her role trying to teach him to act. She then gave the bouquet to him, and he asked why she came there. She replied that she wanted to show him how to be more loving and romantic. He continued that it was why she rejected her escort trying to help her come through the window. She said that it just shows how athletic she was, and he should learn that from her. He asked if she always had to win. She apologized and said that she was just too used to defending herself, and he couldn't ask her to leave at that time, and that wouldn't look good to other people, and his servants might spread rumors that they got into a fight. He allowed her to stay there, but she didn't have to do anything else other than breathe. She asked if that meant she wasn't even allowed to blink. As he got enraged, she told him she was kidding. By sitting there, she told him that he didn't have to worry, and he had to admit she had been nothing but a big help to him. She said she was going to sit and read the book, and he could pretend that she wasn't there and she would shut up. He glanced at her and told her to just get some rest as he must be tired. She thought she didn't expect that and then said that she was fine, and that was only the beginning. As time passed, she slept on the couch there, and when she woke, she found that it was already night, and she fell asleep there and wondered about the time. She wondered if that was Calcium, and she guessed she slept too long on the sofa and needed to move around there. Maybe she should go to the training field and get Calci to teach her some martial arts as well. And then she got up from there, thinking that the more time they spent together, the more he would loosen up, and she should get changed before that. She came outside of the office and asked a maid if she knew where Calci was at that time. The maid glanced at her and said that he was in the gym. Selena thought it was a bit rude, and was the maid treating her like that because she wasn't an aristocrat? How dare she look Selena up and down like that? It was an excellent opportunity to show them who was there. Feeling determined, Selena asked where the gym was while maintaining her gaze. The maid indicated a direction and said that it was just around the corner. Selena thought they couldn't fight her back, so why would she even start? That was so annoying. As she walked in that direction, she wondered if they treated everyone like that. But no, it was pointless to think about that. She should have at least let the maid finish showing her where to go. Now, she was walking alone and feeling lost. She thought that the garden was like a maze, and how could she get lost in a house? It was getting cold, and she wondered if there was anyone around her that she could ask for directions. She only saw bushes and wondered if there was anyone there. As she got closer, she found that Fionel was there. Selena thought that Fionel looked lost as well and hoped she wasn't going to see Calci looking like that. Lionel asked her where she was going. Selena thought it was rude and what a different person Fionel was when Calci wasn't around. Then Selena told her that she was on the way to Calci's place and assumed that was where Fionel was going too. But had Fionel seen herself in the mirror yet? Fionel got angry and asked how she dared and that she looked just fine. Selena told Fionel that if she was aiming for a natural, friendly look, she did a good job, but she wasn't sure if Calci would be too fond of that. Fionel told Selena that she didn't know why she was messing with her. Selena funnily repeated the same words. Fionel told her not to copy her. Selena asked if Fionel thought that she would be scared because Fionel was yelling at her, but Big Fionel didn't have any match for her. Fionel got even angrier and asked if Selena was an aristocrat. Selena replied that she was a commoner. Fionel asked how she dared to talk to Fionel like that. Selena told her that she was not afraid and they were both guests, so Fionel couldn't intimidate her. Fionel then asked if Selena was rich or if someone was sponsoring her. Selena asked what she was talking about. Fionel said that if Selena wasn't, she should stay down unless she wanted trouble. Selena wondered what she meant, but was she threatened by her? Fionel told Tante Selena that she might not have known, but some of the others had already been killed, and the poor thing was they were losing Selena and she had nothing but herself. Selena thought that she was in the middle of a maze-like garden without any weapon with her, and the person standing in front of her was the murder suspect. Selena shouldn't have acted out, and she could have died there. She wondered if Fionel had a weapon with her, but no, even if she did, it wouldn't be anything more than a small knife. Selena was bigger and stronger than Fionel and had learned some martial arts, so she was sure that she could defend herself. However, she wondered, what if Fionel wasn't alone? What if her people were hiding in the garden? And what if Selena was already surrounded? Just then, Calcion came and called Selena. Selena looked and rushed to hug him, thanking God that he was there, and asked where he had gone as she was so scared. He then glanced at Fionel and asked what was going on there. Fionel acted as if she were a sweet girl. Selena thought that she was facing danger and was scared a bit earlier, but then she took a deep breath and relaxed. Calcion's part was over, and it was Selena's turn. As she had Calcion with her, she didn't fear anything and was full of power, ready to take Fionel down. She cleared her throat and said that she had almost been killed, and Fionel told her to stay away from Calcion, threatening to kill her if she didn't. Fionel denied the accusation and, by grabbing Calcion's hand, insisted that she was innocent. He said that all Selena wanted was to stay by his side, but did she have to give up her life for that? Selena told Han that Fionel was so close, and she was scared of her. Fionel told Affy that she had told Selena to be more careful. Then they argued on that topic a lot, and Calcion remained silent. Just then, they found Calcion lying there, and Selena thought that he had had enough, and it was time to end that war. So she told him that she was so cold and tired, and she was on her way to meet him, but she got lost, so she had been walking for a long time. She asked him to carry her, and he lifted her. Then Fionel asked what about her. Calcion told her to go and get some rest, and then he told the servant to take Fionel to her room. The man agreed, and as he was taking Fionel, she kept calling Calcion. Selena stuck out her tongue to tease Fionel. Fionel told Calcion that Selena was a fake, and she asked Calcion to look at her. As Calcion and Selena entered a room, they sat down, and she mentioned that she had received death threats. Calcion asked what Fionel had said. Selena said that Fionel had told her to stay down unless she wanted to die. Calcion asked if Selena thought that's what Fionel meant. Selena replied that if Fionel were stronger, she would have, and it was fortunate that she wasn't. Calcion asked her if she was much stronger than Fionel. Selena agreed and said it wasn't hard to tell since they were from totally different backgrounds, and she was a lot more talkative than Fionel. Calcion remarked that the two of them seemed so small to him. Selena agreed, saying that anyone would seem small compared to him. Then she came to the point that even if Fionel was the culprit, she probably couldn't do anything by herself and would need someone else to do that. Still, it was terrifying, and Selena wondered how she was supposed to know who was hiding in that maze-like garden. She thought that she was going to die there. He just appreciated her. She asked if there wasn't anything else, and she would say one more time that she had almost died. He told her that it wasn't new for him and asked what more she wanted. She replied that it was nothing, and she forgot that he was different. She just wanted to make sure he compensated her well. He reassured her not to worry about that. She agreed and, as she was leaving, mentioned that she didn't have anything more to report, so she would get going. He asked what the matter was. She stopped and explained that they had gone through all that trouble to return to his room, so if she left that to him, it would look weird. He replied that it would probably be so. She agreed, saying that she guessed so and that she would have to stay overnight. Selena and Calcion broke up due to an unexpected situation, and the servants saved them from that awkwardness. Maids told Selena to allow them to prepare her for bed, and the servants took Calcion. They were getting ready, and she thought that it wasn't what she expected. She refused to wear a dress brought by Jebi. Maids asked why not, and she couldn't ask for a better battle dress uniform than that. Selena asked who would want to wear that to a battlefield. One maid told her not to be shy and that she had such a beautiful body that she needed to show it. Selena agreed and said it was enough, so could she please have regular-looking pajamas? One maid giggled and guessed that Selena didn't need such an outfit, and that she was so beautiful, and the maid was sure that Calci was already wild about her. Selena said they were only going to sleep together. Maids agreed and said they would make sure that Selena would be wrapped around in his arms and sleep like a baby. Selena thought that those maids had such a dirty mindset, and that was still better than getting killed by Fionn. Selena asked why they were making such a big deal, and she was sure that she wasn't the first. One maid told her that Selena was the first. Shocked, Selena said it was impossible, and how Calci hadn't had anyone with him looking like that. The maid explained that everyone wanted him. But Selena knew what Calci liked, and no one had ever interested him before. So they were all pleasantly surprised to see Selena. That's why it was a big deal for them, and Selena might be the next Duchess of the Lambert family. So it was their duty to serve both of them, and they suggested trying something. Selena just denied that. After that, she finally won and got a perfect dress for going to sleep. She got to his room and seemed so pale. She apologized for taking so long and said that all the servants had great imaginations, and she had to fight for that. He just saw the bed was decorated wonderfully and asked what he was doing. Calci had a drink with him and was lying there, saying that even if it was for one night, they said that he must do that to show respect to her. She asked if he was serious about that. He replied that he seriously wanted to sleep. She commented that she was so glad they both wanted the same thing. Then she asked if he could clarify the definition of his sleep. He replied that there wasn't anything to clarify. She told him not to look at her like that, and that she was also a victim there. He told her to simply get on the bed. As she got in, Calci blew out the candle, and they both lay there. She asked him if he slept on the left or right side. He replied on both sides. She sat there and asked if she could sleep on the left side because she had the habit of rolling to the left when she slept. He told her to just go to bed. She agreed and lay down again. She wanted to say something else. He asked what again. Selena questioned if he minded if she used one more pillow. He allowed her to do that, so she thanked him. Taking one more pillow, she explained that she liked to hug one when she slept. He replied that she slept well in the office. She replied that she could sleep a lot anytime and anywhere, and due to the nature of her job, she had to do that. He told her to just sleep. But she continued and said that she heard people couldn't sleep when they were nervous, and she felt like it was true. He then asked why she was nervous and if it was because she was sleeping next to the world's strongest northern duke. She told him he didn't have to say that. He commented that he only told the truth. Selena laughed and said she was more nervous than her first shooting day. He asked for the reason. She answered that it was because it was her first day sharing a bed with a man. He asked if he was her first. She asked what he meant and said he sounded like one of those players. Calci raised his voice, and upon questioning, he told her not to take that seriously. He then said that he was rude to say that and apologized to her. She replied that it was nothing and that it was her first time. Calci said that it didn't matter, but he was still rude. She replied that it was fine and she was used to that, people judging her by her appearance. He felt sorry for that. She thanked him and said she didn't expect him to apologize like that. She sat there as well and asked if she looked like she would meet anyone. He denied it and said that if she wanted to know the reason, it was because she was so good at acting. And even though he knew she was doing her job, there were times he felt it was real. She laughed and guessed that she was so good, and it was always nice to hear compliments. She would continue to do her best, so he should make sure not to fall for her. He replied that he would keep that in mind, and then they both got to sleep again. Just as she made a sound, Calci asked what happened. She replied that it was nothing and she just said goodnight to him. He told her to sleep. The next day, as she woke up, she felt awkward because they were hugging each other while sleeping. She thought that was the reason she wanted to sleep on the left side. She wondered what she should do and why she had been hugging him instead of her pillow. But she felt comfortable there and thought to snap out of that. She thought to get out of there before he woke up and pretended that she didn't know anything. As she was getting removed from that position, she found that he had been looking at her, so she wondered if he had been watching her the whole time. She felt so embarrassed, and then she rolled to get free. She got up and casually commented that he knew she was up. She replied that she had already told him that she wanted to sleep on the left side. He told her that he would keep that in mind. After all that, they got ready and Calcion mentioned that Rosal would be arriving there soon. Selena asked if he meant that Rosal was the daughter of the Marquis Thylin. She then asked what she was compared to Fionel. Calcion replied that Fionel was nothing compared to Rosal, and Selena had to come up with a different plan for Rosal. Selena said that Rosal must be, and Calcion was even out to greet her, but he didn't do that for Fionel. Calcion replied that he usually does that for his visitors, not for Fionel. Selena said that she could understand that. Just then, Fionel arrived there, saying that she was there. Selena thought that as they were speaking of the devil, she came there. Just then, Fionel told Calcion to let's have breakfast together. Calcion, with a gloomy face, agreed with her. Selena thought that Calcion must not have liked Fionel. Then they welcomed Rosal. Rosal came down from the carriage and asked Calcion to accept her apologies for visiting him without any notice. Calcion said that it was nice to see her again. Rosal said that she couldn't wait to see him sooner, so she asked for forgiveness. Fionel commented that Rosal left when she heard that Fionel was there as well. Rosal got to Fionel and told her that everyone was surprised by Fionel's sudden departure, and Rosal was too, but Helen was even more so. Fionel didn't attend the tea party without saying a word. Selena supposed that it was how socialite ladies diss each other and expose each other's faults publicly with a smile on their faces, and she couldn't wait to see that one. Lionel was straightforward as well, and that was almost too predictable. Fionel commented that Rosal followed her there because she was worried about Fionel. Rosal replied that it was correct. She was worried about Fionel, but her primary purpose for that visit was to offer condolences to Calcion on behalf of the capital aristocrats. And Fionel might not have known, but most humans could multitask. Fionel said that it was always people like Rosal who did both. Rosal replied that she wasn't like Fionel. Then Rosal said to Calcion that they had met everyone, so should they go inside? Selena wondered how Rosal could say that she met everyone and hadn't seen Selena, who was just next to Calcion. Selena thought that Rosal wanted to imply that Selena wasn't their competitor, which was why Calcion told Selena to come up with a different strategy. She then grabbed Calcion's hand and thought that she must make Rosal aware of Selena. Then she asked if they were finally going to have breakfast. Rosal looked at Selena and asked who she was. Calcion replied that he found her in the woods. Selena thought that even that simple question was directed at him, and that was a great answer by Calcion. Then Selena introduced herself and said that it was nice to meet Rosal. Rosal said that she had never heard of Selena, so she questioned which family Selena was from. Selena thought that Rosal hadn't completed her sentence and then said that no one cared about that. Rosal said that it was surprising and that Selena wouldn't even pick up a scarf. Calcion replied that Selena was more useful than that. Rosal said that Calcion was still talking about usefulness, and wasn't that what he told her a few years ago when he refused their marriage proposal? He said that only marriage was as useful as a hunting dog, and he would have done that 100 times. Calcion said that he supposed she wasn't more than a hunting dog. Rosal commented that Calcion just trained about, although that was only a dog hunting, that still belonged to the Leybeard. Selena thought that she didn't have to do anything, and Rosal had picked the wrong person to mess with. Did they know how long Selena had been in the entertainment industry? She just grabbed Calci's hand, and didn't Rosal think Selena was pretty good to be a hunting dog? She was already fulfilling her duty by standing next to Calcion. Rosal said that if that was so, could she ask for breakfast, and she was hoping to have that with Selena. Selena replied that she would be delighted to do that, and she felt like she already fit into that world. Then Calcion agreed and left from there. Fionel was happy and asked Calcion to have breakfast with her together. Calcion denied it and said that he would meet them all in the evening. And just like that, he left from there. Fionel looked at Selena and shouted that it was so annoying. She hated them all and had been looking forward to that since the ladies' day, and now she had to wait for dinner. Selena thought to look at those flowers falling from Fionel's hair, and she was so adorable. And then Fionel left from there, and Rosal was with Selena. Selena wondered what would be the next move of Rosal. Rosal kicked her to get closer to the wall. Selena was surprised and wondered what that was, and that was hurting. Rosal came close and asked how much Selena wanted. Rosal said that she would give all the money to stay away from Calcion. Selena thought that she knew that was all Rosal was doing, but wondered if that was how she wanted to play. Then she took that she wasn't there to make a few bucks. Just Rosal touched her face and said that she knew Selena wasn't there for that, and however, even the largest amount of money a comer like her could think of was just a penny to Rosal, so just told her that how much she wanted. Selena wondered where did she get the nerve, and Selena had never seen anyone so rude. And if that's how she wanted to play, so she grabbed the hand of Rosal and with a smile, she asked how much Rosal could give. And she might not know that, but if she wanted to negotiate, she must first tell the price. And how much Rosal was willing to pay, Selena hoped that Rosal had at least 100 sets of dresses like that. Selena thought that the dress was worth as much as the cultural heritage, and it was ordered by the former Duchess herself. And there was no way that Rosal had that much money. Just Eosla agreed to give that. Selena wondered if she should accept that offer, but she couldn't. Had she just gone back to her world? Rosal asked if Selena wanted it in cash or jewelry or both, but she left as soon as she got all those things. Selena said that it was easy and let her think of that again. Rosal said that Selena was a pet dog, so what more could she possibly want? Selena replied that since she was human and there was no end to human greed, she wanted more, but that one was extremely hard to get, so she wasn't sure if Rosal would be able to give her that. Rosal said to stop wasting time and just tell her. Selena replied that she wanted the heart of Calcion. Rosal asked if she was kidding. Selena replied that she was serious, and that was what she wanted the most. Rosal asked to play, so Selena did, and wasn't that Rosal's turn to play with Selena? Rosal asked who Selena thought she was, and being Duchess of the Landbird meant she was willing to give her life for that. And just so Selena knew, a woman like her was already killed, so if Selena wanted to leave, she could. She asked Selena if she thought she was able to survive there. Selena thought Rosal was talking about Ariel, and she told her that she was risking her life, but so was she. Selena didn't seem as dumb as Fionel, and she must strongly believe that she was safe. That was because she thought she was powerful enough to protect herself, or she was the one who killed Ariel. The bottom line was that Rosal was also a strong murder suspect. Selena thanked her for that, but she didn't need Rosal's advice and money. She only wanted the heart of Calcion. And for the record, Rosal was the greedy one, and she could keep the money and power. Calcion was all Selena wanted. Rosal told her that she didn't need them either. Selena asked if those weren't what Rosal was after. Rosal replied that she could have them whenever she wanted, and even something greater if she wanted. Selena thought that she didn't understand what Rosal wanted. Unlike Fionel, Rosal didn't want to win the hearts of Calcion, and if she didn't want money, power, or Calcion, then why did she want to marry Calcion? Then Rosal warned Selena that if she wanted to end her life that much, she could do so by all means. With that, Rosal left from there. Selena thought that she didn't understand that. The morning passed quickly and dinner time came. There was a lot of food and wine for 4 people, but that was the Landbird's way of welcoming the town ladies. The feast may have seemed pleasant and peaceful, but in reality, Selena couldn't remember the dining etiquette and what that was. She took something to eat, and as she ate, she thought that she would look silly. Just then, Rosal commented to Selena that it was an interesting dining etiquette, and she had never seen such a thing before. Was that how wild animals ate in the northern parts of the Landbird? Selena replied that she had never heard of or seen any wild animals eating bread, and that was so interesting. Rosal said that it didn't matter what Selena ate, but she was no different from the wild animals. She didn't eat like a human, and Fionel's cat, Mumu, also loved to eat bread that Selena dropped on the floor. Just then, Fionel interjected that she had a cat, not a dog. Rosal agreed with her. Fionel continued, saying that even Mumu knew her table manners, and seeing Selena eat like that made Fionel want to hurl. She questioned the point of having tableware if Selena wasn't using them, suggesting that she might as well pick up and eat breadcrumbs off the road. Rosal said that they needed to be more understanding, and the northern parts were full of great nature and wild animals. She encouraged them to think of it as a wonderful experience they would never get elsewhere, and since Calcion lived among animals, let's be positive and open-minded. Selena thought that she guessed the enemy of the enemy was a friend, and they both were working against Selena while showing Calcion that Rosal was more considerate than Fionel. They were just the typical rich nobles who didn't know whom they were messing with. Selena then told Rosal that she could tell Rozek didn't know much more about wild animals, and if Selena were one of them, she wouldn't eat breadcrumbs off the road. She just stabbed the chicken with a knife and said that she would eat Rosal's flesh because she loved protein. Fionel was shocked to see that. Rosal told her not to worry. Selena said that she wouldn't eat them anyway, and she didn't particularly enjoy bones. She thought that Fionel was so cute. Then she said that Fionel was a little chihuahua, so just stay out of that. Rosal then wiped her hand and commented that Selena wasn't different from Mumu, messing up the dining table like that, and she guessed that when Selena acted like animals, she saw things from their point of view. Selena said that was why Calcion decided to take her with him, and then she asked Rosal why didn't she give that a try. Maybe she might get a bit of attention from Calcion as well. Rosal replied that she understood Calcion had a unique taste, but that was too challenging for her. She wasn't a commoner like Selena. Selena thought that Rosal was a stuck-up snob. Just then, Calcion stated that the Thiolin family was quite superior. Selena thought that the most powerful got in that. Calcion continued that he still remembered how upset the Marquis was when they approached the Thiolins, and he couldn't believe that they had never asked for a marriage. Rosal apologized and said that it was her mistake that she should have never made in the first place, but she requested to understand that it was because of her father, who was too blinded by his greed. Thank you for watching our video. If you like our romance manhwa recaps, please consider subscribing to the channel. You can also watch a similar romance manhwa story by clicking on this video right here.